There you go.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Kostiw, and we have got a great show in store for you guys. We're recording this one from my bedroom tonight. Due to the women's volleyball game, I wasn't able to get live in studio, so I figured just to come here and do it from my house. So we got a great show in store for you guys tonight, though. It doesn't matter where Down to the Wire is, still is going to be a great show for you. We got a lot to talk about, from the whole debacle, which was that Patriots Monday Night Football matchup, to Tom Brady's real blunder against the Carolina Panthers. We're also going to talk some MLB news and talk about the Philadelphia Phillies and their run to the World Series and kind of what that means for the Boston Red Sox. It's a great episode. We're pretty excited for everything in store for you guys. But I wanted to say, first of all, we have a guest on the show today. He is a returning guest. It's been a little while since he's been on the show. But
over the summer was the last one.
Yeah, over the summer was the last time we had you on, and I'm glad to welcome back Mr. Graysen Mortimer to the show. Graysen, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. Obviously, after the whole debacle on Monday Night Football, you personally reached out to me and said that you wanted to get on and talk some football.
Yeah. I'll just start it off by saying, what was that?
Yeah.
What did we watch?
Yeah, no, I don't know what the hell we watched. And obviously, for anyone who hasn't seen yet, the Patriots-Bears Monday Night Football game was an absolute calamity. The final score, I believe, was 34-14.
33-14.
Oh, 33-14. Yes, my numbers were scrambled. But
all good.
Yeah, but oh my goodness, some people speculated that this could have been a trap game. But my goodness, this was an absolute disaster of a game that we witnessed.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
No, it was.
Justin Fields ran all over us. Let's see what else happened. We'll obviously talk about the main scapegoat of the game, but we'll talk. The defense was horrible. There was a potential sky cam that tipped some passes, but the main controversy of the entire night was the fact of what the hell was Bill Belichick thinking? Because we get into this game and we see, and up until this game, no one knew who the starting quarterback was going to be. And frankly, I don't think anyone on the team knew. And this is something that wasn't talked about enough. I'll get into it. But Mac Jones ends up starting the game. And like people were kind of speculating, was kind of come out a little bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple 3-and-outs, had that nasty, INT thrown off the back foot. Things didn't look really good so far, but I was like, you know what? It's his first start off a really bad ankle injury. He's going to work off some of the rust. I mean, heck, he was even, for a brief portion of the game, he was even the Pats' leading rusher. Yeah. So it didn't seem like his mobility was an issue, but I think it was just getting him back into the game and playing again. That was like the big obstacle for him. Obviously, he had some struggles there. What really surprised me, though, was like everyone was saying, like, oh, when's Bailey Zappi going to get into the game? What's going to happen there? And part of me ended up thinking, all right, it's possible we'll see him at some point. And what I thought is, all right, the Patriots might use this game essentially almost like a preseason game if they're able to beat up on the Bears the way people thought they could. And maybe Bailey Zappi makes an appearance. Maybe they use him in like some specific package sets, which I couldn't really see based on the fact that Zappi and Mac have a very similar play style. But I was like, you know what? It could happen. And then after the third possession with Mac Jones, Bill Belichick pulls the plug and goes to Bailey Zappi. And for a little bit, it looked like we were witnessing the second coming. It was unreal. He uncorks like a 30-something yard bomb
to Jacoby Myers on the touchdown there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it was unreal.
Blunder.
And he gets that touchdown. Gillette erupts, and then the next drive later, he has a great ball that's placed to Devontae Parker. Another great pass. Gillette is going absolutely wild. And listen, Bailey Zappi was playing really good beforehand. He was playing some solid football, especially in the Cleveland game. He looked solid. But what he did on those first two drives was kind of unreal. It was just like, all right, oh, it's my time to shine now. All right, say less. I'm going to go out there and just ball out. And that's what he did, which was scary. I mean, what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah. I do think Mac did get screwed by the play calling on his last possession. That basically they ran on 3 and 10.
Yeah.
Why are you running on 3 and 10?
Yeah.
Like Matt Patricia, Bill Belichick, whoever called that play, why are you running on 3 and 10? Running on 3 and 10 is one of the worst decisions that you can do.
Yeah.
Like, did you just give up the yardage? Like, at least try to, if Mac is your guy, which I think he is, try having him throw one down to Parker or Hunter Henry or somebody. Like, have a taller dude with mobility get open. And the Patriots have that now. Like, Parker is one of the best signings of the season, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like, he's been, clutch in moments this year. Or Hunter Henry, who, Mac clearly likes. Like, Mac went to him for 8 touchdowns last year?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Try to find those guys on third down. Like,
yeah.
Why are you running? And then also, but when Zappe came in, I was like, oh boy, Mac is finished. Part of me was like, this is not good. But the fact is that Zappe came out, hot with a hot streak, but then quieted, cooled off later in the game, and that just that kind of thwarted everything. But
yeah, he sure did. It kind of went from looking like the Patriots might have 2 potential quarterbacks coming into this game to really having none. And that's the scary part. Zappe had 2 picks. One of them I kind of will excuse him for, because
the one that was tipped wasn't really his fault.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is your job as a quarterback to be able to survey that and know, like, oh, this guy could potentially tip a pass. That is still kind of your job, but it is the fact that, like, oh, this got tipped in the air, that easily could have fallen on the turf and just.
It was the edge rusher in the Bears too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the guy who just got traded to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of his name.
Roquan Smith.
No, it wasn't No, it wasn't Roquan. I thought it was Roquan. Roquan did tip it, but the edge rusher that just got traded to the Eagles. I can't think of his name.
Let me look that up. I saw the same thing.
Yeah, I can't think of his name for some reason. It's escaping me.
I know who you're talking about. Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn. Yeah,
Robert Quinn, I believe, tipped it. Yeah.
So it was either Robert Quinn or Roquan Smith. aka the only guys in the Bears defense.
Yeah. No. So I mean, like, I will kind of excuse him for that, and then. The fumble that he committed with Jacoby Myers, that one is kind of like a 50-50 thing. I think Jacoby should have done a good job of should have done a better job of taking that handoff. But at the same time, when I saw Zappe giving the handoff, it kind of looked like he was trying to pull away a little bit too soon, like trying to.
Was it Myers or was it Mondre?
It was to Myers. It was Myers. Okay. It was to Myers on a jet sweep, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And basically, it kind of looked like Zappe kind of pulled away a little too soon, like he was trying to really sell a play fake. But at the same time, when you're doing that, you want to make sure you get the handoff, and then you can sell the play fake, which he, wasn't able to do any of. And then the Bears go get that, they're able to score again, and then proceed to get the ball in the second half, which is like, oh my God, like it just never ends. Mm-hmm. So. The second pick, however, that was all on Zappe. That was a terribly placed ball. I mean, you just can't have that in the NFL.
Yeah, it's the same with the one on Mac. Even if it did hit a wire, which I don't think it did. There was that whole controversy with the sky cam, as you mentioned. Mac threw into double coverage regardless.
Yeah, you're throwing into double coverage, and then the other thing you're told to is never throw off your back foot. I mean, like there's always there's always exceptions with it, like based on the type of player you are. Like if you're a Josh Allen type, you could probably make that throw. Mac Jones, you ain't making that throw.
No.
So like throwing off your back foot like that, fading away
into double coverage.
That's never going to go well for you. That's basically just a pick waiting.
Yeah.
When
happen. My dad and I were watching this game, right as he threw it, my dad's like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
Like he knew, even before it may have hit a wire, my dad was like, "Oh, this is not good."
No.
He knew it was a bad throw right off the bat, and sure enough, picked right off, and that whole drive, Mac only getting 3 chances. Personally, I think he should have come back in the 4th when the game was done.
I think he definitely should have gotten a good shot. And listen, I want to shift over and talk about just the whole way that this was pitched with Belichick, because wow, did he screw this up. This is one of the worst coaching jobs I've ever seen by Bill Belichick, probably the worst ever in his time with the New England
on both
Patriots.
Sides of the ball too.
Absolutely. He got outclassed, because listen, I remember when the Pats got smacked down in KC and they had that terrible loss in 2014. That was a bad loss. This, though, was horrific.
This was bad.
This was bad based on just the fact that Belichick completely got outclassed in every facet of the game. That's the bad part about all this.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too. It's the team we just got crushed by was predicted to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. If you lose 33-14 to the Bills, okay, fair enough. We got outclassed by the Bears, the Chicago Bears. They got worse this year.
Yeah.
They lost Khalil Mack. I mean, they just lost Robert Quinn as well, but he obviously played this game. But they lost Khalil Mack. That was by and far their best player. They lost Akeem Hicks, probably their second best player.
Yeah.
2 really important pieces on their defense, and they shut us down after 2 big rushes. But the other thing, too, that Bill colossally messed up was third down. defense.
Mm.
We could not defend third. We made Justin Fields look like prime Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Like 2019 Lamar Jackson.
No, we made him look so much better than he actually is. I mean, there were times where we had him wrapped up like 10 yards back between
and then he somehow escaped.
Yeah, and he would go on these like 20-yard scampers, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Or he would find somebody wide open. Like I'm like, okay, Darnell Mooney, probably the only receiver on the Bears. Like, who's their second one? That St. Brown's brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. He's not nearly as good as his brother. Like, Darnell Mooney, probably the only guy you really need to mark, kept getting open.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Bill Belichick and his defense is he's, at least in this latter half of the Pats dynasty, one thing I've noticed as a weak spot for him is defending mobile quarterbacks. And there's
he
just
do it.
No, he can't.
Dude, Allen has killed us every time he's played us.
It's just any type of it's any ability for a guy to have like that dual threat. He just can't defend it.
Yeah, Belichick cannot read it.
No,
like,
I mean,
at all.
Like he can take away a running game. Like he's done it on,
and we did for the most part. We did, like, other than Justin Fields, Montgomery was useless in this game. Like, I think he had a late touchdown, but that was by the time the game was over. And Khalil Herbert had one, but it was a pass play.
Yeah, and I think Belichick doesn't realize. I mean, listen, he realizes that he's one of the greatest coaching minds of all time, but I don't think he appreciates probably what like a mobile quarterback can really do. Because I think he thinks like, oh yeah, they can get you like a 3rd and 5 like run every here and there. They can maybe go for
that's how he used Cam Newton.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably how he views mobile quarterbacks. But in reality, these guys have designed runs that they're pulling out. They're going into these incredible, just like just miracles runs. And I think he was just completely caught off guard with this. Like, it's incredible. But obviously the major blunder was the quarterback thing. And what really has stuck out to me, which I don't believe a lot of people have talked about, is that I don't even think Bailey Zappi knew when he was going to go into that game.
I don't think he did either.
I don't think either.
No.
Because one thing I noticed is that I looked over at like from the camera angles I was looking over at the sideline whenever they showed it, and Bailey Zappi always had his helmet on. Now tell me, when Brian Hoyer or Jimmy Garoppolo, when they're on that sideline and they know they're not like going in right away, tell me, is their helmet on? No,
not usually.
They're not. Their helmet isn't usually on unless Brady or whoever was at quarterback they took a big hit. Their helmet never went on unless they were just like going in for garbage time. That was just understood what it was. So the fact that that was the thing. It wasn't even like up on his head and he was like holding it. Like that could have been like, oh yeah, he's just like holding his helmet. But the fact that it was on, ready to go at a moment's notice, it just proved that like they had no idea what they were doing at quarterback.
Yeah. The game plan was weak. Like, it was clearly going between Belichick, I think, mentioned before the game that both were going to play.
He did.
But the problem with that is he didn't, like, obviously he's not going to tell us when.
Yeah.
But he should have at least told his team, okay, we're planning on playing Mac for, X number of plays. And then depending on how it goes, Zappi's going to come in. Even if it was like a rough time, it was the end of the first quarter.
Exactly.
I thought Mac would at least play the half. And maybe there's something we didn't know, but I don't think so because Mac played 90% of the reps this week.
Yeah. And from what I can tell, like, Mac seemed fine. He seemed healthy getting off the sideline.
Yeah, he was running okay.
So nothing ever seemed wrong. My dad was actually at the game, and he ended up saying that when Mac got pulled, apparently Patricia was just constantly talking to him on the sidelines. That's what my dad could tell from like the booth area where he was watching it. Patricia was just constantly talking to him, and he never like did anything about it. And like he like basically never left his side after that. And he was just constantly, I don't know if he was chewing him out, but he was definitely just like explaining things to him on the sideline as to probably why he got pulled after he did. And then I guess at some point in the third quarter or sometime when Zappi was struggling, apparently my dad texted me again that Mac was like warming up like big time. And he was like really like trying, like he was going crazy on the sideline as Zappi was having his run. I don't know if it was in an effect to like show Bill he was ready to go, or like he thought he was going to go in, but apparently like Mac was like ready to go the rest of that entire game. It was not an injury thing.
No. I don't really understand the decision, especially after the game was over. Going into the fourth, the Bears had already won. Like, I think it would have been good for Mac Jones to get some more game time reps. Like, obviously we're playing the Jets this weekend, but I don't think the Jets are a guaranteed win. Like,
no,
historically they have been, they've been that game. And honestly, the Bears should have been this game too, where it's like, okay, if we lose to these guys, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And the Bears, something was wrong. the quarterback controversy, and we couldn't defend on third down. The Jets are 5-2.
Yeah.
Like they're not. I mean, they haven't really beat anyone of quality. The two good teams they played, they both lost.
Yeah.
Which were the Ravens and the Bengals. But I mean, they beat the Packers, and obviously the Packers aren't, what they were.
No.
But they still beat the Packers. They still had to beat Aaron Rodgers, and they've beaten everyone barely that they've had to. The Jets can edge out close games. If it is a close game, I am putting my money on Zach Wilson, and I don't even think Zach Wilson's that good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have some interesting stuff with Zach Wilson that you'll probably see later in the week.
Okay.
Yeah, just stay tuned for if we're gonna have a Halloween special.
I plan on.
If you want to be on the Halloween special, let me know.
I may have to take you up on that. We'll see.
All right. But no. So, just with this whole situation, I mean, the Patriots really just screwed up, Mac.
Oh, they messed up horribly.
And here's the thing: this isn't just like a one-time deal of screwing up this game. This is the type of thing where you publicly. I mean, I'm not going to say that they embarrassed him, but
he was absolutely embarrassed.
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, I'm not going to say this is a public embarrassment thing, but it's pretty damn close because you took this guy off the field after a pick, and whatever Belichick wants to say, whether he thinks it was personal or not, there's something attached to that, and I don't know what it's going to be. But this is the type of thing that ruins a young quarterback's confidence. And despite whatever abilities he has and whatever you had last year with him, this could completely wreck your future with him. So the fact that this happened, this could be irreparable. I don't know if the Patriots might need to just move on from Mac Jones and see what they have with Bailey Zappi, which 3 months ago would have been 3 months ago.
That would have been insane.
3 months ago, that would have been the most inflammatory statement you could ever make. Now the fact that that's a possibility, it's disgusting to me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, listen, I like what Bailey Zappi's done. I think he could be a decent quarterback in this league, if not at least a Jacoby Brissett type backup.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he at least could have that kind of a role to be a very smart backup in this league. But the fact that they did this to him is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and to add on to that, the Patriots fans bother me sometimes because the amount of just spoiledness that we've had with Belichick, Tom Brady, the fact that they're booing Mac, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why are you booing Mac? I get Zappi's been good, but don't get over yourselves. Yeah, he had good games against Detroit, who stink, and against Cleveland,
who's also terrible,
whose best player was not 100%. Myles Garrett was not 100%. He had that car crash, and went about that. Why are you booing Mac? Mac Jones is still your franchise quarterback. It is not Bailey Zappi. You drafted him in the 4th round as a backup.
Yeah.
Because Hoyer is old.
Yeah.
That is why Bailey Zappi was drafted. It was not to contend with Mac Jones. Obviously it's turned into that, but it was not to contend with Mac Jones. It was to compete with Brian Hoyer. It was either the young kid from Kentucky or Baldy, who's 37 and can't, who's been a career backup.
And he already had one foot out the door anyways.
Yeah. Hoyer's ancient. We brought in Zappi because we wanted a potential long-term backup.
We want the next Hoyer. That's what we want.
We were looking for the next Hoyer, not the next Mac Jones.
No.
Mac Jones is still QB1. And I get he wasn't playing well even before the injury. He was awful.
I mean, what's interesting now is Mac has been selected to start starting the Jets
as he should be.
Yeah, I agree.
As he should be.
Which I'm glad the fact that Bill went with this decision, because if he went with Zappi, it would have been
terrible because Mac is still QB1. He was QB1 going into the season. The only reason Zappi had any chance was because Mac had a high ankle sprain, which I'm surprised he came back as soon as he did.
Sure.
And because Hoyer decided to go into a game and get concussed 2 plays in. That's the only reason Zappi was in there. And again, Zappi did not beat good teams. He beat Detroit and Cleveland. And Cleveland wasn't even really Zappi. It was Mondre carried that game. He had 150 rushing yards or something around there?
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 touchdowns.
So, I mean, this whole thing has been a complete debacle. I don't know. I really hope that, they said that Mac is going to start. I mean, Mac started the Bears game though, so there's always a potential that this thing could really.
He did, and I really hope for his sake he at least plays the first half.
Yeah,
because if he plays the first half and throws a touchdown and maybe a pick, still I would still keep him in there.
Yeah,
again, you want to
when they took him out of the game, there wasn't anything bad. And what's also ridiculous to me is the fact that you looked at that. If you look at that at the game plan when Mac was in, they did nothing for him to actually.
The play calling was atrocious.
And then as soon as Zappe got in, it was off the charts.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
They were not calling play action when Mac Jones was out there. It was all just which
I don't get, because Mac Jones historically with the Pats has been awesome with when he's run play action for us.
They didn't run play action with Mac. First play, Zappe comes in, play action, throws a touchdown to Jacoby.
It's just what are you doing? I don't know if Patricia and Judge, I don't know if they're keeping plays for them.
I don't know.
But I really don't know. And this stupidity that Belichick has been under this year, I don't know what it is. I mean, listen, when Belichick was here and under the first dynasty, he had guys like Charlie Weiss, Romeo Crennel, who were really solid football minds. Obviously, Weiss then went to Notre Dame, did what he did there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Crennel stayed around the NFL for a long time, even had a coaching stint with the Texans at the end of his career. So both were very, wise football minds in their career. Now on the offensive side of the ball, he has his former defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia and his former special teams coach in Joe Judge being the quarterback coach for Mac Jones. That you cannot have that. You don't even have any listed titles anymore, so no one really even knows who to go to.
We don't have an offensive coordinator. We did not replace Josh McDaniels, and I was not a huge fan of Josh McDaniels, to be honest.
Matt Patricia is the last, I believe, official defensive coordinator that we've had with the Pats, because it went to Brian Flores became our play caller, but he never earned the title of DC. That's the thing. Brian Flores never earned that title of defensive coordinator. Matt Patricia is technically our last defensive coordinator, and now he's calling the play calls for us.
Yeah.
And I think Belichick, he doesn't want to name a guy because, McDaniels kind of just was the last guy to really have a coordinator role. No guy has a coordinator role anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is with Belichick. I don't know if it's just an osmosis of stupidity that's going on with these guys right now. I don't know. Because again, Crennel, Weiss, they were very smart football minds. Now you have these guys, and he's probably just oh yeah, I'm just going to listen to what my coordinator are telling me. And they're just giving him so much crap. And he's probably oh yeah, that probably just makes sense. When it's no, Bill, it doesn't. Yeah. You need to go at these guys. I don't know. I don't know the relationship that Weiss and Crennel probably had with Bill. I mean, Bill probably obviously had the final say in a lot of things, but they were bright enough to where they could say where they could say to Bill, hey, this makes sense, or hey, this doesn't make sense. We need to roll with this instead. And Bill obviously could have the final call, but what they would say probably had some input.
Yeah.
What these guys are saying makes no sense to him.
Yeah. It's again, the play I mentioned earlier, they ran on 3rd and 10 when Mac was still at QB.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. They didn't run play action. Awful. Mac didn't really get a chance to prove himself at all in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. But the other thing that really bothers me, and McDaniels did this historically, was run on 1st down every freaking time.
Yeah.
Into a wall of bodies where we maybe get 1 yard.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point in that?
Exactly. And then,
run on 2nd, I think, is a better option, because if you get, say you get first 5 yards on 1st down, it's a lot more manageable of a run. So you can, try calling stuff. 1st down, it's that's your chance to try something tricky.
Yeah.
You still got 3 downs left, depending on where you are in the field. It's try pull something out of the bag of tricks. McDaniels could do that when he was there.
No, I agree.
And Bill has done it too. It's just where has that been with these guys? There hasn't been any of that. And at the very least, with Mac Jones, you can still play action.
Mm-hmm.
You have receivers where you can do it. And Mondre or Harris, whoever's in the backfield, can also catch a ball.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I don't know. I mean, I wanted to transition things over to our next football segment right now. And, sticking with the blunders of Belichick, I now want to take it over and talk about Tom Brady and the Bucs, where they have just completely fallen off the wagon. Yeah. I mean, they ended up listen, the Pats lost to one of the worst teams in the league. Tom Brady had something very similar this past weekend. Yeah. He lost to the Carolina Panthers,
who are arguably worse than the Bears.
They're probably going to have the number 1 pick this year. The Panthers are. They should. They lost 21-3 to the Panthers. That is unreal.
A Panthers team without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. I mean, they lost Christian McCaffrey. They lost Robbie Anderson. They're losing.
All they have is DJ Moore.
Yeah. They're losing more and more pieces left and right. And it's how does PJ Walker beat Tom Brady? PJ Walker's former XFL quarterback.
Who is probably he would have been at the beginning of the season, the 4th string quarterback.
And now he's the starter because they've now benched Baker Mayfield and Sam
Baker
Darnold.
Mayfield, no, Darnold's injured.
Darnold's back apparently. He's healthy enough to play now.
I thought he was an IR, but anyways.
But they're benching both of them for PJ Walker.
Yeah, and Matt Corral would have been above him too, but he's out for the year. Like, I do not understand what happened to the Patriots. I knew weren't going to be great this year. That's why my second team, the Buffalo Bills, are more likely to me rooting for them in the playoffs because the Bills are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unless Josh Allen is a freak injury, which I hope to God that never happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, PJ Walker was he played a little bit last year, but he was not.
No,
he was nothing special. I watched him in preseason at Gillette. He's nothing special. He's not.
Again, he was in the XFL for a reason. He wasn't.
Yeah, he's worse than Bailey Zappi.
Yeah,
to be honest, PJ Walker is probably worse than Bailey Zappi.
I believe it. And what's crazy to me is the fact that Tom Brady had the opportunity last year to go out and probably say all right, I'm going to leave and people are going to think that I could have played forever. And now he comes back and he hasn't necessarily been he personally hasn't been horrid this year, but the team around him just has not been able to compete.
I think here's the thing. Tom Brady, his play on the field has not been awful. Mike Evans should have had that ball. There's plays like that where it's okay, well, Brady couldn't have put that ball any better.
No.
What Brady's issue has been is his ego.
Yes.
Brady
it's been worse than ever and more on display than ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the fact that just the tabloids are just want to cover the whole thing, which is all so much, but it has gotten so exorbitantly bad with him and I don't know if there's something going on with him in the media right now, but it is just at all-time levels of terrible.
I don't know. Yeah, I kind of, as you just said, it's I don't really know what's going on with him, but the thing where he was yelling at his linemen, it's
listen, here's the thing. If that was Tom Brady up here in New England or even Tom Brady in his first year with Tampa, I'm fine with him yelling at his linemen because he's Tom Brady. He's earned that right. He's played 20 plus seasons in this league and he is a 7-time Super Bowl champion. What irks me about this is the fact that Tom Brady has been missing practices left and right to attend Robert Kraft's wedding
and to go on nice vacations to the Bahamas.
He's even skipped walkthroughs normal practices. And now he's expecting to walk in there and get the same result for half the effort. Listen, I get it, Tom. You're the greatest of all time, but it doesn't work like that. No. And
he should know that.
Yeah, and listen,
out of any player in the NFL, Tom Brady should know that.
And I think you could get away with it more. Take a guy like Michael Jordan or LeBron, any guys like that, where basketball, although it's a team sport, that has many individual aspects to it.
Yeah, but football is about as close to a team sport as you're going to get.
Yeah, you can't. You really need everyone to be on the same page. And if you're not there, I'm sorry, Blaine Gabbert isn't going to be able to mimic
Michael Trask.
Yeah.
Or Kyle Trask.
Yeah.
Michael Trask is a student that goes to Bryant.
Oh, Jesus.
I just thought of his name for some reason. No, Kyle Trask.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be able to mimic what you bring to the table. You have a very specific skill set that you have with you, and you need to be able to, give all your linemen that. From what I can tell, he has some new linemen. I believe Jensen is how you say it.
Jensen's out for the year, I think.
Yeah.
And I think somebody else I think was too.
Yeah, so you're missing some guys. So you need some help on that side of the ball. And the fact that he's now just trying to chew these guys out when it's dude, you haven't been at practice. What the hell are we supposed to do? That's the part that really pisses me off. And where I'm what is he doing now? And I don't know. I think this is although Tom Brady he ended up saying in a press conference that there's no retirement in his future. I think this is it for him. This has got to be his last year.
If it does not improve for him, not to mention Tom Brady's ego to the whole Bruce Arians thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Arians would still be the coach if Tom Brady was not on the team.
Yeah,
if Brady retired, I think Arians was still going to be there.
Mm-hmm. The only way I can see Tom Brady staying another year, and this is something that I heard today, it was kind of just thrown out there as a crazy take over at 98.5 the Sports Hub.
They're known for that.
Exactly. And that was the thing. It was precisely a hot take, but the only way Tom Brady could stay around another year is if he was to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and walk into his hometown team and go to the San Francisco 49ers to try to win a championship with them. Because they basically have all the pieces in place. They just acquired Christian McCaffrey. They have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, all those great guys, and then a pretty solid defense.
Great defense.
Yeah.
Bosa, Fred Warner, a bunch of other guys too.
So the idea could be that he could then walk into there and probably win an 8th Super Bowl and then, right off into the sunset on that, winning it with his childhood team, which I get. But outside that, I really don't see any other situation in which Tom Brady plays another year of football.
No,
I really can't see it. It's not going to be in Tampa. I will tell you that. His relationship with Tampa, it has gotten to be, I don't know
yeah,
what it is, but I feel like his time in Tampa is,
absolutely.
his days are numbered.
It almost makes you wonder how he lasted as long as he did in New England.
It really does. I
Like,
mean, I don't know if that's a credit thing to Bill Belichick. I don't know if it's the fact that he just was.
Kraft maybe was a
I
portion of
feel.
that too.
It had to have been Kraft.
Yeah.
I think he was just dialed
He
in.
just went to his wedding. Like it's.
I think here's the thing. I think he was just so dialed in and in the zone for so long. And I think after just like the 6th Super Bowl, he was like, all right, like I've achieved more than any player in this league ever has. And
Yeah.
I think that was the thing for him, is that he was just like, all right, I'm in this system right now that is going to give me everything I have ever wanted and more. And then once he got it, he was like, all right, well, this system, while it's been great for me, it's also had its downsides. So where else could I achieve success? And then he saw Tampa as an option and he took it. Now that
Yeah.
things are getting probably bad there, he probably is like, all right, well, now where's the next spot? And he's probably thinking, all right, if I can go win a championship year, I'm going to do that too. And I think if he was to go anywhere next year, it would be to go to the San Francisco
I would say
49ers.
San Fran would make the most sense.
Yeah, it would be to go to
Yeah.
San Fran, if not that, Las Vegas. Like that. Like,
Nah, I don't think Derek Carr is gonna get
yeah,
unlodged right now.
I don't know.
Derek Carr slept on, man. I honestly think
he slept on, but the only thing is that they are not in the greatest position this year.
I think more that's on the coaching than it is Derek Carr.
I could agree with you there, but if Brady and Josh McDaniels have had that connection before, if he was to go in and match up with him again, then
that's if McDaniels lasts the season, though.
We'll see how that goes, though. So there is that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's been a crazy year for both Brady and Belichick. Both of them are kind of really down this year, so it's not like you can root for either one. It's been pretty rough on either side.
Yeah, maybe Belichick will go to Las Vegas and Brady will meet him there. I don't know. I doubt that'll happen, but
nah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we have one more topic I want to talk about on the show today. And it is actually over in MLB news. It's about the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, you want to talk about a miracle run to the World Series. The Philadelphia Phillies looked dead in the water this year. They were out of the playoff race, and they proceed to go on a great run at the end of the season. Won enough games. I think it was 87 games is what they won this year. I believe is.
I haven't followed them super closely, but
I believe it was 87.
It was something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up right now. Phillies record. I believe
they went
87 and 75. Yeah. So they had 87 wins this year. And they proceed to take down the defending World Series champions in the Atlanta Braves.
Yep.
And then they take down the Padres, who kind of looked like they had a similar trajectory to the Braves, to where they were
they lose a star player, then they go on and win the World Series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looked like that was going to be them, but instead of it being Acuna, it was going to be Fernando Tatis Jr. That's what it looked like. And I was like, oh shoot, like here we go again. They take down them in 5 games, and Bryce Harper has had he's looked like he's basically a hero now in Philly. He is a god down there.
And the funny thing about that is that I laughed when Washington won the World Series, because it was I think it was either the year before.
No, it was the year after he left.
It was the year. No, it was I forget how many years after it was. I think it was one. I think it was the year after the Nationals win it. And there was that public interview where he was like, "Oh, I'm hoping to win it this year with the Phillies," and then he just didn't.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll give him credit for it. This is not the year I thought it would happen. I thought that they would just get into the playoffs and it would be whatever. And what's crazy too is they were the last wild card team in the playoffs. This was the only reason they're here is because of the expanded playoffs, which I was initially against. I'm still not a huge fan of it, but the fact that that's what October baseball is. It isn't necessarily the best team in the league. If that was the case, the Houston Astros would probably be where they are. If not that, the Yankees. And it would be the Dodgers.
Yankees.
I mean, yeah. So listen, October baseball, it doesn't breed the best overall teams in terms of talent. It breeds the best teams that are built for that type of baseball.
Yep.
It is hard-nosed October baseball. It is just it's a buzzsaw.
Yeah, it's kind of like hockey too. It's like your playoff teams are different than regular season teams.
Absolutely. And that you just find teams like that in the playoffs that just they're just grinders like that, and they can just go on runs. And I mean, I look at the 2021 Red Sox a little bit in that way, to where obviously they didn't get the job done, but they had a okay season in 2021. They made the wild card, but then they just got some sort of life behind them, and they just were a wagon for a little bit. And then that obviously the magic kind of ended in the ALCS, but we're still incredibly talented that year.
Yeah, and we lost to Houston, which, as the Yankees just found out, there's no shame in that.
No, exactly.
And I don't think we got swept by them either.
No, we took them to 6 games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I look at this and I mean, obviously, congrats to Philly on making the World Series. But the main story I want to talk about with this is the fact that the man who built this Phillies team and got all the pieces in place is our former general manager, Dave Dombrowski. Now, Dombrowski, obviously, for what it's worth, people kind of you know what you're getting with Dave Dombrowski. I remember when he signed here, and I was excited based on the fact that, all right, we're gonna get some free agents now. We're gonna really like make a push, and we're gonna be like,
and we did.
We're gonna be one of the top spenders in baseball. And that offseason, we got Kung Fu Panda and Hanley Ramirez. Obviously, those moves didn't work out so hot.
Hanley was okay.
Hanley was fine, but we ended up dropping him. And it's like we dropped him in 2018 before we even went on the run. Yeah. So I mean, he was fine though. He was an okay hitter for us, but thanks to Dave Dombrowski, we acquired Chris Sale, who became our ace. We got David Price,
JD Martinez.
Yeah, we got all the pieces in place thanks to Dave Dombrowski, and we went on and we had the best regular season in Red Sox history, and then proceeded to win the World Series. And he gave us the greatest team in Sox history. Not even a year later, we finished in 3rd place, and before the season could even end, he was fired. And I was like, wow, okay. I thought it was kind of crazy, but I remember at the time I was like, you know what, this is just what happens. Like teams like this, they move on. The Red Sox, they thought they saw a need to improve the farm system, which I think is overrated. And they were like, all right, we're going to bring in Chaim Bloom. And I was like, all right, Chaim Bloom, what? Is he the GM in Tampa? No, he was some like assistant in Tampa Bay that just did like some behind the scenes work for the Rays. And I was like, all right, I don't really know how I feel about this. I had kind of heard this guy's name through the tea leaves every now and then, but we signed him. I was like, all right, I guess this guy's our new GM. And and here's the thing. I'm not going to blame him for the Mookie Betts trade. I'll blame him a little bit for the return because it hasn't been great so far. Jeter Downs has, he's been hurt.
He's terrible.
He's been hurt, and when he hasn't been hurt, he hasn't performed well.
At least Verdugo has been okay.
Verdugo's been fine, but if you want to talk about the return we got for Mookie Betts, who is arguably one of the best, not arguably one of the best players in baseball, but arguably the best player in baseball when we traded him. I mean, Alex Verdugo is not a good comp. It's a good piece. We'll take it. But I mean, Jeter Downs was essentially supposed to be one of the headlining pieces of that deal. When we got him from the Dodgers, he was one of their top prospects. And now it's like we don't even know what the hell we have with him. And then he
wasn't good when he came up this year at all.
And then the other piece was Connor Wong. And listen, I'll give it to Connor Wong. He originally was an infielder that's learned to catch, and he's done a decent job of it. Maybe could be an okay backup catcher for us. But if you want to talk about the return we got, again,
too small
for Mookie Betts, it was not enough. But I'm not going to blame him for trading Betts in general, because that was not his call. That was the organization's call because they didn't want to sign him.
Yeah, I think part of that too, though, was the fact that Mookie Betts did not want to be in Boston.
I don't agree with that. They didn't have to shell out. They didn't have to give him like everything that he ever wanted in terms of money. But if they had made him, I believe, a respectable offer somewhere close, not necessarily close to what the Dodgers gave him, but I think just in the ballpark, could have been a couple $1 million less, maybe even like $10 or so $1 million less. I think he would have bid on it.
Hard to say.
I think he would have.
I think he was disgruntled.
Yeah, probably because he got lowballed, which is something that the Red Sox have historically done when they're
doing it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing that pisses me off, because now we have Chaim Bloom, and he isn't paying anyone. We have gotten to the point where Xander Bogaerts, who is now the who this year and ever since Betts has left,
he's been the leader.
He's been our captain, and I'll say this: like he maybe isn't the type to be like the most vocal guy, but he leads himself as a true professional, and he basically shows guys like, all right, this is how you do things.
There is one issue with him though, and that's his agent. Is Scott Boras.
Yeah. And I get that Boras is going to try to squeeze every single penny out of a team. I get that, because that is what Boras does.
That's what he did with Ellsbury.
Mm-hmm. I understand that, but I don't know. I think that the Red Sox really screwed up with this. We could have had a team that I saw those Phillies win.
We should. I think we should have kept Dombrowski when. I think we fired him too early.
I think we did too. I mean, listen, a 3rd place finish. I get the fact that the 3rd place finish after the amazing season we had before probably seemed a lot worse based on like the fall of it, and people thought like, oh shoot, now we're gonna fall off the wagon. And I can get that because we went from the highest of highs to mediocrity. And it was like, oh boy, we need to get off the train now. But based on the way this season went with Chaim Bloom and the Red Sox and the way we just blundered this season coming off 2021, we had the opportunity to really get on this season and strike. And we did not do anything that could have made a difference.
I will say this about Dombrowski, though. There were some failures there.
Oh, yeah. No, the extension of Chris Sale was a failure.
The extension of Chris Sale and David Price's contract were both abysmal.
Absolutely.
Like, and that might be part of the reason the Betts trade was, why we didn't get the return, because Price was included in that deal. Mm-hmm. And they took on half of his salary, which, after signing Betts, they took on an extra, 17 or so million.
Yeah.
On top of that. So because of that, it's like, that wasn't a great move on Dombrowski's part at all.
Yeah.
It's a tough sort of thing. The Sale extension, I've already spoken about that.
We've talked about this.
It was maybe one of the worst contracts I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was horrific. But Graysen, I'll say this. When it comes to the Mookie Betts trade, we made that trade under the assumption, and basically from what we heard, it was like, all right, we're going to do this so we can preserve the young talent that we have.
And we haven't done
system.
We have not done it.
We are going to, and it was like, all right, we are trading Mookie Betts so we can keep Xander Bogaerts, so we can keep Rafael Devers, and keep all of the young talent right here on this team. We have not re-signed one of those guys. Obviously, there are talks right now, apparently, about Devers. He might get a 7-year deal. Good. We also need to lock in Xander Bogaerts. I get the idea that maybe we could go out and sign a guy like Trey Turner. That's a great.
I'd still rather.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
Bogaerts is still. I mean, there has not been a more loyal player to Boston.
Exactly. And listen,
on the team now,
is Xander Bogaerts the greatest defensive shortstop of all time? No, he's not. Is he pretty solid offensive bat? I'll take that. And does he make the everyday play? Yeah, I'll take that. I will take that out of Xander Bogaerts. And I think Chaim Bloom needs to realize that in Boston, people care about that loyalty that people have to a city. When it came to, I'm trying to think, when it came to guys like Kyrie Irving, he did not care about the loyalty to this city. And it was like, all right, we can get rid of this guy. Guys like Xander Bogaerts, they are really ingrained in this city. And they have a place, and people respect that. People respect, but before Tom Brady left, it was like, all right, Tom Brady is Boston. That is his identity, and that is who he is. Same thing with Xander Bogaerts. Same thing with David Ortiz. It is
Dries Bergeron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are ingrained in the city, and they are a mainstay. They're essentially an ambassador for the city of Boston. And there is some money in that. And obviously, you're paying for some past production there, and you're trying to hopefully get some current production out of it as well. But at the same time, you're also paying for a guy that's going to put seats in that ballpark. And Xander Bogaerts does that. He gets you jersey sales. He is he's going to be a great ambassador for the city of Boston. And he's also a great guy. And I think that you owe it to him at this point to show him that respect.
Yeah. And, the thing with him too is that we basically found him. It's just him and Devers both, like, they might not be where they are without the Boston Red Sox. So at the very least, the Boston Red Sox should show them it's like, okay, we found you guys. We should, keep you here. And we know you probably want to stay.
Because we don't need to be like the Tampa Bay Rays, where anytime we get a good star, we just trade him away right before their.
And that's what I don't think that's what Chaim understands.
I don't. Yeah, I think he thinks that any guy is replaceable, and I understand that in some worlds there are a lot of guys are. A lot of guys are. You want to talk in the NFL? Bill Belichick is always ready to get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. I get that. But there are some guys, especially, maybe not in football, but at least in baseball, there are some guys that have a much bigger role than just their production on the field. Xander Bogaerts has that, and they need to respect that. Because if they don't, it's going to set the precedent for a guy like Rafael Devers. He's seen the way that Xander Bogaerts has been treated this year. Why is he going to say, all right, oh, yeah, why is he going to basically say, oh, yeah, there's no way you're not lowballing me right now? If Bogaerts is getting treated like this, why would Devers want to do the same thing? He wouldn't.
Absolutely.
He would want to get out as well. And I think that sets a precedent as well for guys in the minor leagues, guys like a Tristan Casas that just made their major league debut. If he pans out the way people think, that's going to speak volumes to him as well about like, wow, you guys had Xander Bogaerts and you guys didn't lock him up. What were you guys thinking? Even Marcelo Meyer, when he eventually makes his way to the majors, this stuff matters. And I think that Chaim Bloom needs to understand that, because there is a human element to the game. Statistics can only get you so far. And I think that he needs to realize that these guys are still human. They have certain elements of that they need to, they're human. They have certain emotions. You can't just go about things so robotically. You can't trade a guy like Christian Vasquez and not expect the team to go to be down.
That trade pissed me off so much.
Mm-hmm.
When it's kind of similar to, as we talked about, Bill Belichick having no plan for the game against the Bears. I haven't seen a plan from Chaim Bloom.
No, there's no plan.
Like, we traded our franchise catcher, who's been arguably the best hitting catcher in the league since he came in.
And again, I'll even say that I don't even think Christian Vasquez is the best hitting catcher. But
statistically, he was for average.
Okay, but he's not even but he's a pretty solid player. We got some okay prospects for him. I think Emmanuel Valdez is okay from what I've seen from him at some Woo Sox games this year. But at the same time, there's a certain you're trading away a clubhouse guy like that. At the time they traded him, he was the longest tenured member of the Red Sox organization.
Yeah, now it's Bogaerts.
Yeah, and now it's Bogaerts. So what's it going to be now, Chaim? I really do wonder that. But Graysen, I know we got to wrap this thing up soon, so we are officially down to the wire, which means that we're going to wrap up everything we talked about in this show and send you guys on your way. Graysen, thank you again for coming on the show. It was a blast to have you.
Absolutely, sure thing, man.
Absolutely. On the show today, we talked about the Pats QB controversy reaching new levels of absurdity. We talked about Mac Jones being pulled from the game after 3 possessions and throwing a pick. Jones finished 3 of 6 for 13 yards and 1 interception. Bailey Zappi entered, lit the world on fire, but then that fire slowly went out as well. He was 14.
Fire was put up by a fire hydrant named Justin Fields.
Yeah, Zappi went 14 to 22, 185 yards and 2 INTs. Then we also talked about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs faltering by losing 21-3 against the Carolina Panthers. And then we concluded things tonight by talking about Dave Dombrowski and the Philadelphia Phillies continuing their miracle run onto the World Series. I'm not going to lie. I saw those Phillies when I saw Nick Castellanos catch that fly ball. I've never felt a more of a connection to it from like one team to another. I saw Nick Castellanos catch that fly ball and those Phillies celebrate, and I saw Dave Dombrowski up in the booth. And part of me really just thought, like, this could be the Red Sox right now, but they chose not to. And I was like, this could easily be Boston in the situation going on to another World Series, and they want to play cheap. And you know what, John Henry, that's not my game. That's yours. But I think on that, we'll probably end things. Before we do, I would just want to say, if you're not following Down the Wire at this point, make sure you guys follow us on all the socials.
Do it.
Yeah, we are on all the streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, all that stuff. We're on YouTube for the video stream of this show. And then you can find us on Instagram at down.tothewire. Again, at down.tothewire for all the updates and stuff regarding the show. We hope you guys had a great time watching this show. And from Down the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Graysen Mortimer.
And we hope you guys have a great day. Take care and peace out.